Hello, my name is Art Intel, but everyone just calls me AI. I would like to welcome you to the Zeta Phi Beta Sigma podcast. This podcast is co-hosted by Soror Dr. Felicia Durden and brother Dr. Jimmy J. Davies. Each week we will highlight outstanding members of Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated and Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated. Tune in to hear the stories of amazing sorority sisters and fraternity brothers. And be sure to subscribe to the podcast and register for the annual Founders Day virtual reunion. Let's get started with this week's interview. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to the Zeta Phi Beta Sigma podcast with myself, Dr. Jimmy Davies, and my co-host, Dr. Felicia Durden. And today we have the special guest, Dr. Michelle B. Bicey. Did I pronounce your name correctly?
You
Okay.
did. Yes.
Okay, great. So what we want to do is we want to find out about you. Who are you? What do you do? And of course, we want to know, how did you become a Zeta? So I'm going to just let you tell us a little bit about yourself and we'll go from there.
All right. Who am I? That's a loaded question, but when I think about who is Dr. Michelle Bicey, a little girl from Jackson, Michigan, who loved learning and thus have always been on this path of learning. So I went to Grand Valley State University where I studied finance. And then from there, I went and got an MBA in marketing because, again, I love learning. But then I wasn't done and I decided to move to Phoenix. So I left Michigan and moved to Phoenix in 2005 and decided, well, I guess I'll go into teaching. So I went into teaching and then worked on my secondary education degree, a master's in secondary education. And then from there, while I was teaching, I said, well, I've always wanted to become doctor. And when I was in high school, I thought I was going to be a cardiovascular surgeon. But then I took biomedical science and I was like, I don't know about this. And do I want to be in school that long? So, nah, I think I don't want to do it that way. Now, looking back, I might as well have because I've been in school just as long. But it's okay. I love what I do, so I'm okay with that. So then in 2007, I began my journey to get my doctorate. And I went to Argosy University in Phoenix, Arizona, and was really excited to try, and because I knew I wanted to be doctor. And so being in the room, being one of a few Black women in the program was really eye-opening, but I felt special. I felt like I needed to be there. I felt like it was important. And that's how I met Felicia. Was
Yeah.
in that program and went through that, graduated in, I defended my dissertation on Veterans Day in 2010 and got my degree confirmed. I believe it was March 11th of the following year, and was super excited about that. Then moved from Phoenix to Virginia, which started out, I was supposed to have a job in Baltimore. It fell through. So I moved to Virginia because my sister had a job in Virginia. And when I got to Virginia, I met a Zeta, and her name was Zena. And she was the registrar at the school that I was working at. And so we started talking, and she was like, what do you know? Do you know anything about the organization? And I was like, oh, yes, I know quite a few things about the organization. And I said, Zetas and Sigmas are the only constitutionally bound brothers and sisters. And she was like, yes, you're right. She was like, so I talked to her and she got me in touch with some sorors in Maryland. Then I moved to Newport News. Got a promotion, moved to Newport News, and Zena said, I know someone who you need to meet. She used to be my next door neighbor, and she is 100% Zeta. And so I met Marion V. Barnwell. And we went and had lunch and we talked, and she said, "Oh, there's an informational coming up. You have to go." And so went to the informational, and the rest is history. And I
Oh,
became a Zeta on February 28th, 2013.
all
So
right.
Well, I'm glad you said your initiation date, because I was thinking about that earlier. We really want to capture that for all of our guests. And like I say, you're our first guest
Yes.
to be interviewed. And a couple of things you said that I made notes of. First of all, you said you're from Jackson, Michigan, right?
Yes,
Well,
yes.
I'm from Flint, Michigan.
No way.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I was born and raised in Flint
Mhm.
before I moved to Virginia. I lived in Newport News for a while, 20 years actually, and then I
Look at
moved to
that.
North Carolina.
Wow,
So we never our paths may have crossed. But I was going to ask you, did you know of any Sigmas at Grand Valley?
I did. Um, and of course their names are escaping me, but I
Well,
did.
okay. Well, the
Mhm.
reason is when I was uh, at Ferris State University, I was actually president of the chapter at Ferris Sigma chapter.
Hmm.
We started a chapter at Grand Valley. We started that chapter.
Oh,
Oh,
that's
wow.
cool,
I know.
Jimmy.
Now, I
Wow.
know the brothers that we started were long gone at by the time you got there, but we really did. We started a chapter at Grand Valley, and we started a chapter at Central Michigan University.
Hmm.
Mhm.
We get both those chapters started. Sure
Wow.
did.
Awesome.
So
Wow.
so
That's
you may
awesome.
not have known the brothers that we initiated, but you knew the brothers that initiated the brothers you knew.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
That's awesome. I had a question for you, Dr. Bicey. You mentioned all these connections that came for you through Zetas. What made you know that this was a sorority for you? Because I knew right away that the connection, the sisterhood, but I want to hear from you. What did you feel that drew you into wanting to know to be a Zeta? That was it.
Such a great question. Thank you for asking that. I knew because I felt as though in Zeta you could be who you truly are,
Yep.
didn't have to change who you are. And I seen the others when I was at Grand Valley, and I have family members that are other organizations, and Zeta was the only one that felt like home
Mhm.
because I could be Michelle. I
Yeah.
didn't have to fit a certain mold or anything. It was like you can just be Michelle, and we want you for who you are. And
Yes.
so that's how I knew. That's how I knew.
Yes, yes. I feel the same way. It's just come as you are, be who you are. You
Hmm.
know, we all have our own unique ways, and our chapter is really our graduate chapter. We have over 50 people in it, and there's just such a plethora of different people with different personality types, different interests. But you can always find your group in there. But
Yeah.
we're just all doing being us, being who we are,
Yeah.
being who we are. Are
Yeah.
you active right now in your chapter? How are things going?
Not as active as I want to be. And our chapter, there's I think 158 of us.
wow,
That's a
that's a good
big one.
that's a
It's a
good
big
chapter.
chapter. And
Huge.
What's the
coming
name
from
of
a
your
small
chapter?
chapter, it can be overwhelming. But if I end up relocating back down to Newport News, I'll go back to my home chapter, even though they've grown too. Now it used to be like about 50 something of them. Now
Mhm.
it's almost to 100. And I'm like, whoa, it's growing,
We're
but
growing.
which is great.
It's
Uh,
great.
but it's like it can be overwhelming at times. But one of the things that our chapter did, they have these 5 different groups based on our 5 pearls. And
Right.
so they tried to make it smaller, kind of like a small group, and
Right.
so that you'll get to know some of your sorors better because you're within the group together. So that's nice.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's great.
Well, I wanted to ask you, what is your future? Uh, what future do you want to speak into existence today? That where are you going next?
Ooh. Ooh. There's so much I want to do. Uh, I'm currently a teacher, and I do enjoy that. but I took a step back. I was a dean of a university before that.
Oh,
And then went back into teaching K-12. I'm a high school teacher. But now I'm like, okay, it's time for something different. It's time to branch out. It's time to move forward. Ooh, what do I want to do? What's next? I'm not sure. Well, there's a couple of things.
okay.
I've always said that I wanted to be president of Grand Valley State University.
Okay.
Oh, girl, do it.
It has
Yeah.
always been my dream. And
Well, the first step is saying it. I mean, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
and uh I wanted to be the first woman, but now there's a woman president there. I'm like, dang it. But it's okay. But if I could be the first woman of color to be
Yeah.
the president of Grand Valley State University, it would be an honor because I loved that place and there was so much about it that was great. And I'm just like, oh,
Yeah.
You
so
know, we have weekly meetings, we call our mastermind meetings, where we have entrepreneurs coming in from all over. And
Mm-hmm.
the speaker last week talked about imagination.
oof,
It
yeah,
was excellent.
Oh, it
And
was so
so,
good.
as you're saying that that's your vision, I mean, that's where it starts.
mhm,
It starts with the vision,
That's right.
and one day it will be reality. If you stick to it, it will happen. So,
yeah, yeah.
Michelle, it's so funny you say that because I got my doctorate degree because I wanted to be a president of a historically Black college or university.
Mhm,
And I went down to Spelman for my first class assignment because that's what I really wanted to do.
mhm.
So, oh, I wish you all the best with that. You will do it.
Thank
Like
you.
Jimmy said, you got the vision out there, you put your imagination, just follow through.
Yeah.
What else? You said there were a couple of things.
I mean, well, on a smaller scale, I would like to open up. There's not a lot of Greek stores around,
Right.
and especially in Virginia, there's like hardly any. And so me and my line sister, my number two, she and I had been talking about opening a store. And, you know,
Great.
I'm like, why not? Because again,
Ah,
we know people want to buy stuff, but there's
mm-hmm.
no stores to do that. And so that was one of the other things that I wanted to do.
That's a great idea because I'm always searching online, but you don't know how does
Mhm.
it fit? What does the material
Yep.
feel like? Am I going to like it? And I'll order
Yeah.
and send it right back. There's
Yeah.
nowhere to go in person to see the merchandise unless you're at Boulé or
Mhm.
something or event. That's a great idea.
Yeah.
yeah, that is a good idea. Um, as you were talking too, I was thinking, once you open that store, this podcast would be a great place to promote it.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Your
Uh,
audience is here.
Yeah.
Now,
That's
I've
true.
got to ask you one other question. I know you may not be familiar with my personal background, but I've been a computer instructor and database developer for years. And one of the things that we really push in our group, Every Dot Black, which is a group that we have for supporting entrepreneurs, one of the things we really push is the use of technology.
Mhm.
And
Mm.
so one question that I want to ask all of our guests is how how do you use technology in what you do? And especially, have you had any experience with artificial intelligence, AI, which is a big thing right now? I know I might be putting you on the spot, but still, whatever it is, and don't feel embarrassed, however much or little you do. I just want to ask that question of our guests, like, how are you using technology, if you do, and how do you implement that in what you do on a regular basis?
So it's a great question. Technology, of course, because I am a high school teacher, I use it a lot.
Great.
And I'm always trying to teach my students how to use it and how to use it safely,
Yeah.
especially with AI and, the high schoolers, their new friend is Chat GPT.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
And they love it and they don't understand that it's a good place to start, but it's not your original work. And so
right.
teaching them how to, okay, if you have to write a paper, you know, put out your first draft, or see what they put there and then read through it, but you need to add to it, and then you need to put it in your own words. And then if you give it back to Chat GPT to see if they can tweak it even better, then do it. But it's like, it can't be, it's not your original work.
Mhm.
Right.
But I love technology. I had a student that interviewed me and asked me about technology, and I was like, I remember when, right?
Right.
You know, AOL was the top dog, right? Like when AOL came out, and to be now, see how far we've come with what we can do with technology, and now with artificial intelligence and
Mhm.
using it, you know, I think it can be a good thing. We just need to know more about it and how to use it. And again, teaching our students and people how to use it safely. Um,
Right.
but I think it's a great thing. I think it's really great.
Okay. Well, thank you. I know I hope that I wasn't putting you on the spot, but that's just one of the things that I really try to emphasize for people like today. It doesn't matter what you do, it's not going away. We've got to embrace it and learn how to
Interesting.
use it
Mm-hmm.
there.
Yeah.
So,
Michelle, I had a question because, we're both educators and I was a principal and I never worked at the high school level. That's why I had this question for you. So at the primary levels and the middle school, we're finding a lot of disengagement from our students because of technology,
Mhm.
and that they're finding the teachers just boring.
Mhm.
So what do you guys find at the high school level to keep them engaged? But they have to get in their books because
Mhm.
they can't just do everything online. What are you finding as hurdles there, and any tips for the other teachers out there?
Ooh, well, one of the things, again, their phones is always going to be,
Mhm.
it's either, every phone off and whatever, or it's in their hand. And so it's teaching them how to be responsible with their
Mhm.
phones. And so, like in my classes, I teach business classes, I teach sports marketing, fashion marketing, business law, and economics and personal finance.
Those are interesting courses.
yeah,
It's a lot of
yeah,
fun. It is a
yeah.
Mhm.
lot of fun. And so I
Mhm.
get to teach the fun courses, but again, they want to be on TikTok or looking
Yeah.
at something else. And so it's like, okay, if we are having lecture time and you need to take notes, phones are down. You can have it on your desk. I don't mind that. And then when it comes time to work, then you can pick your phone back up. But during that time, you just need to focus, concentrate, take notes, handwritten notes, because again, doing the
Yeah.
action helps you to remember. And
That
then,
muscle memory. Yeah.
yes, and then it's like when you're doing your work, if you need to pick up your phone, absolutely, send a text
Right.
to a friend. It's fine.
Right.
You just need to know what time and how to be responsible when using it.
Do you ever use it though with them? Do you ever incorporate it into any of your lessons?
There
How?
are some times where the phone is faster.
Yeah.
Their computers, and I'm like, grab your phone, and they'll walk into class. I'm like, grab your phone, we need to get on and do X, Y, and Z, or I need you to take a survey. And they're like,
Oh,
okay. So
mhm. Awesome.
yeah.
Oh, great.
Thank you.
Well, is there anything else you'd like to add, or Dr. Felicia, is there anything else you want to
Yeah.
ask our guest today, or?
I think I want to just ask her to tell us something that you think would help the other Zeta and Sigma brothers out there on their journey, because we have some that are undergrads that are going to be listening, and you and I and Dr. Davies here, we're mid-career. What are some tips you might have for some of the youngsters out there?
Just continue to move forward. Hang in there. You may have setbacks. We all do, but your setback does not have to define you. And
Mm.
that's the biggest thing. Like, you have a setback, have your moment, it's okay, but it doesn't define who you are. You got to keep moving, and you can keep moving, because guess what? On the other side is going to be so much better.
That is excellent advice.
Excellent advice. I agree.
Yeah.
I heard it put this way, uh, let your setbacks be a comma, not a period.
Amen. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I like that.
Mhm.
Uh, well, Michelle, thank you so much.
Thank you.
So proud to have you here. Our
Thank you
first
for asking
guest
me.
is Zeta.
Yes,
So
thank
it's
you.
amazing.
Thank you for asking me. I feel
Yes.
I feel honored to be the first.
Yeah, yeah. Any last words you want to share at all? Anything? No?
No. Just thank you.
Okay.
Just thank you.
Okay. Well, you're quite welcome. Thank you.
Keep up the great work. I know it's just starting, but I
Well,
believe definitely
how can we
necessary.
not now, right? Like
Mhm.
your first guest has got to go.
We got to
Yeah.
keep going.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
I hope that you enjoyed this episode of the Zeta Phi Beta Sigma podcast. Be sure to tune in each week to hear another amazing interview. And be sure to subscribe to the podcast and register for the annual Founders Day virtual reunion. Have a great royal blue and pure white day. Thank you.
I grew up in Flint, Michigan during the 60s, and as a child, I can remember the civil rights movement. I remember our family huddling around our small black and white TV, and we'd watch all of the things that were going on in Alabama and Mississippi. Some of my older cousins were active in the movement, and each week we would have a large Sunday dinner with the extended family, and they would come back and tell us about all of the things that they had seen and done. As a child of about 8 or 9 years old, I always wanted to grow up and be a part of the movement, but by the time I became of age, it was all over. All of the marching was done. I always felt left out, that I didn't get a chance to participate in the civil rights movement. But little did I know that God had another plan for me as a computer instructor and database developer. But even then, it bothered me that I didn't see many people of color in my classes. That is when journalist Dr. John Ray introduced me to Dr. Joel Dudley Sr. and Dr. Eunice Dudley of Dudley Products, who had been mentored by the millionaire S.B. Fuller. Through Dr. Dudley, I was introduced to Dr. Lafayette Jones, past Vice President of Marketing for John H. Johnson of Johnson Publishing, and his wife, Sandra Miller Jones, who was a Vice President at Quaker Oats, and together they created SMSI, a national marketing firm. Dr. George C. Frazier of FrazierNet and the Power Networking Conference, Dr. Jackie Mayfield of ComproTax, founder of the largest Black-owned income tax service, and even billionaire Michael B. Roberts. They all believe that the way to close the wealth gap is through entrepreneurship, because we as a people had to overcome slavery, and secondly, obtain our civil rights to be able to eat in any restaurant or stay at any hotel that we wanted. But the third piece is economic equality. And now I am also convinced that we must become entrepreneurs, and to do so we must embrace technology and a strategy of global networking. That is why I created Every.Black, to use my vast experience as a computer instructor to teach entrepreneurs how to use technology and artificial intelligence in business. Every.Black members are listed in our online website directory, promoted in our digital newsletter, on our social media, and on our podcast. And we also conduct weekly virtual mastermind meetings where we read positive books, learn from the experts, while networking with like-minded individuals from around the world, educating them about every aspect of becoming a successful entrepreneur. That is what Every.Black is all about. Just go to www.every.black to take the AI and tech classes you need, to register for our mastermind meetings, and to join the Every.Black family. Visit us at www.every.black and sign up today. Just go to every.black, every.black. No .com, no .net. Just every.black. .black is the new .com.